People of the State of Michigan versus Mark Lucas. We have three files, 2123686, 2123795, and 2123796. Mr. Lucas is appearing from the jail, and Mr. George is his attorney, and Mr. Marvin is the prosecutor. These cases are noticed out for a plea today, so Mr. Lucas, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, Mr. Marvin, what are the offers in these cases?
Your Honor, in file 2123686, he'll plead to CCW and an amended use of meth. The rest will be dismissed. In file 2123795, he'll plead to aggravated stalking, and the home invasion will be dismissed. In file 2123796, it'll be a plea to fleeing third, and the rest of that will be dismissed. In addition, misdemeanor case number 2090 will be dismissed, and these will run concurrent.
Is that correct, Mr. George?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Lucas, this is the same offer that was made the last time we were in court. And at that time, you had indicated that you would accept the plea. And then when we got to the factual basis, you denied the factual basis necessary. And so you've now talked to Mr. George, but I'll go through it with you again and make sure that you understand what the offer is. In 2123686, you're pleading to count 2 of the amended information, carrying a concealed weapon. That's a felony. It's punishable by up to 5 years or a fine of up to $2,500 and mandatory forfeiture of the weapon or device. And you would be pleading to count 4, use of methamphetamine, which is a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 1 year and or $2,000, and the court shall impose license sanctions. Count 1, possession of methamphetamine and its drug double would be dismissed. Count 3, the charge of felony firearm, which is a mandatory 2-year sentence, consecutive to and preceding any other term of imprisonment imposed for the felonies related to this case, would be dismissed. And then in file 2123795, you would plead to a charge of aggravated stalking, which is a felony punishable by up to 5 years and or a fine of up to $10,000, probation for any term of years, but not less than 5. The charge of home invasion would be dismissed. And in file 2123796, you would plead to the charge of fleeing and eluding in the 3rd degree, which is a felony punishable by up to 5 years and or a fine of up to $1,000. And the Secretary of State shall suspend your driver's license for 1 year. The charges of assaulting, resisting, obstructing a police officer would be dismissed, and the charge of felony firearm, mandatory 2-year sentence, consecutive to and preceding any other, would be dismissed. In addition, the prosecutor would dismiss file 2020090 and would agree that although it is within the court's discretion to order that these cases run consecutive, that they would run concurrent. So is that your understanding of the agreement for all these files?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
All right. Now, in file 2123686, on the charge of carrying a concealed weapon, which is a felony punishable by up to 5 years or a fine of up to $2,500, along with mandatory forfeiture of the weapon or device, how do you plead?
Guilty, Your Honor.
On the count of use of methamphetamine, a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 1 year and or a fine of up to $2,000, and the court must impose license sanctions, how do you plead?
Guilty, Your Honor.
In file 2123795, on the charge of aggravated stalking, a felony, punishable by up to 5 years and or a fine of up to $10,000, probation if ordered for any term of years but not less than 5. How do you plead to that charge?
Guilty, Your Honor.
And file 2123796, the charge of fleeing and eluding in the third degree, a felony punishable by up to 5 years and or a fine of up to $1,000, and the Secretary of State shall suspend your driver's license. How do you plead?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Now, has anyone promised you anything more to get you to plead in these cases, other than what we've talked about in court today?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Anybody threaten you?
Pardon?
Has anybody threatened you to make you plead to these cases?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Are you doing it of your own free will?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Now, do you understand that if I accept your pleas in these cases, you'll not have a trial of any kind and that you'd be giving up the rights that you would have had at trial? Those include the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to have the prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty, to have the witnesses against you appear at trial, to question the witnesses that appear against you, to have the court order any witnesses you have for the defense to appear at trial, to remain silent during the trial and to not have that silence used against you, or to testify at trial if you want to testify. You understand you're giving up those trial rights.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
You also understand that if your pleas are accepted, you may be giving up the right to appeal certain issues that would otherwise be appealable if you were convicted at trial. Further, any appeal for your conviction and sentence pursuant to the plea would be by application for leave and not by right. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
So in 2123686, it's alleged that on January 16th of 2021, you were in the city of Three Rivers, County of St. Joseph, state of Michigan. And at that time, the police officers stopped you and they found that you were carrying a dangerous weapon, a pistol, whether concealed or otherwise, in a vehicle operated or occupied by you. And it was a Chevy Silverado. So were you operating a Chevy Silverado on January 16th, 2021 in Three Rivers?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And was there a pistol in the vehicle?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
All right. And at the time, it's also alleged that you had been using methamphetamine. Is that also true?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Okay. Are counsel satisfied in that case that there's a factual basis?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Lucas, in 2123795, here it's alleged that on March 11th, 2021, you were in Burr Township, County of St. Joseph, state of Michigan, and that you did engage in a willful course of conduct involved repeated or continuing harassment of Valerie Little, the conduct being such that would cause a reasonable person to feel frightened, intimidated, or harassed, or at least one of the actions constituting the offense is a violation of a condition of pretrial release. All right, so apparently in March 11th of 2021, you were subject to a bond condition that said you're not to have any contact with her. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And on March 11th, you did appear at her home and enter her residence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Stuck my head around the door there, let her know I was there.
Okay, and that's a violation of your conditions of bond in the other case to not have any contact with her or appear at her home. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Are counsel satisfied that a factual basis has been established in that case?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in file 2123796, it's alleged that on April 12th, 2021, in Constantine Township, the County of St. Joseph in the state of Michigan, you were operating a motor vehicle at that time that was given direction to stop by voice, hand, emergency light, or siren by Deputy McCoy of the Sheriff's Department, who was in uniform, and the officer's vehicle was identified as an official police vehicle acting in the lawful performance of his duty, directing you to bring your vehicle to a stop, and that you willfully failed to obey that direction by increasing the speed of the motor vehicle or attempting to flee or elude the officer, resulting in a collision or accident. So were you driving a car that was the officer was trying to stop on April 12th,
Yes, sir.
2021 in Constantine?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And did you then result in a collision or accident?
Yes, sir. I drove into my friend's woods and tried to elude him there.
Okay. Are counsel satisfied that a factual basis has been established in that case?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you the counsel aware of any of their promises, threats, or inducements?
No.
No, Your Honor.
Has the court complied with the court rule?
Yes.
Your Honor, I just wanted to confirm that you asked Mr. Lucas whether he was currently on probation or parole.
I did not. Thank you, Mr. George. Mr. Lucas, are you currently on probation or parole anywhere?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. George.
Thank you, Your Honor, and I believe the court has satisfied the court rule.
I find the pleas are made knowingly, understandingly, and voluntarily, and there's a factual basis for each. Therefore, I accept the pleas. We'll set these for sentencing on July 30th and make sure we take off 2 or 3 slots for that. Mr. Lucas, bond's canceled. We'll see you back here on July 30th. I'm signing an order for a DNA sample to be taken. The sheriff will take that and send that to the state police lab. You also need to fill out the packet the deputy is going to give you. That will allow the Department of Corrections to start the pre-sentence investigation report. They'll then come out and take your statement or interview you regarding the report. And then when it comes time for sentencing, you'll have a chance to review the report with Mr. George and make sure that it's accurate. And if there's any changes that need to be made, you let him know so we can address it at sentencing. All right, that concludes the case. Thank you very much.